At home, he introduced two strategies of reform. Perestroika was a bold restructuring of the nation's bureaucracy. It was a move away from a centralized economy towards a freer market. To battle corruption and restore public trust, Gorbachev introduced Glasnost, a policy of openness and free speech. It was a radical break from years of suppression and censorship.
We had to give people the freedom to think, to express opinions, to take initiative in various fields, the arts, the economy, and so on.
What can I tell you? At the beginning, Gorbachev was supported by many. He was supported by the people of the country. The fact is that he came on the wave of society's discontent with the existing gerontocracy. That's why, at the first stage, he was enjoying great support.
The people of the Soviet Union embraced the new leader, but no one, not even Gorbachev himself, fully comprehended the forces he had set in motion.
I knew that once people started talking about freedom of the press, it would change everything. People would start to talk about the system, how inefficient the party was, how backward the country was, morals, ethics, and so on. And then certainly we would start to talk about Stalin's cult of the personality and all the atrocities that went with it. And that's exactly what happened, and rightly so.
The problem was that once the media was really allowed to dig into crimes, it didn't stop with recent crimes by individuals. It went back first to Stalin and then to Lenin. And of course, once they started undermining the memory of Lenin, there was really nothing left, because without Lenin, without the Bolsheviks, without the revolution, the Communist Party and the Soviet Union itself had no real basis.
Glasnost threatened the Communist Party's claim to authority. It was highly unpopular among the legions of Conservative Party bureaucrats who'd grown accustomed to undisputed power and privilege. Inside the Politburo, there were whispers of dissent.
I believed that we had to develop mechanisms that would protect the supporters of perestroika and their policies, so that what happened to Khrushchev wouldn't happen to us. The leaders met, and in a day and a half they decided his fate. He was fired and replaced. Consequently, during the January session of the Central Committee, we tried to identify the obstacles to perestroika. We pointed to the Central Committee as being responsible for all of the resistance, the stagnation, and the backwardness of the country. We strongly suggested that we needed more political reform, and we started preparing for it. We expected that the January session would come as a shock to the entire country, and it did. For the first time, we laid things out on the table, and we named names, even the names of members of the Central Committee and the Politburo as well. This is where our great battle began.
Gorbachev walked a tightrope of compromise between two increasingly hostile factions. The conservative hardliners aligned on one side. On the other side were the progressives, who wanted faster and greater reforms. Glasnost had given these radical Democrats a voice, and no one was more vocal than Boris Yeltsin.
Gorbachev chose Yeltsin very much the way that Andropov had chosen Gorbachev. Yeltsin was a provincial Communist Party leader from the Urals with a reputation both for getting things done, for being a good administrator, but also for cultivating good relations with the population, for having the common touch. It was exactly what Gorbachev wanted in terms of boosting his own support. But when Yeltsin came to Moscow, he very rapidly started using populist appeals against the bureaucracy, even against the Communist Party, to build up his personal image. This was regarded as desperately worrying by the Communist Party in general, but ultimately by Gorbachev himself, and they kicked him out.
Gorbachev demoted Yeltsin to Deputy Construction Minister. Yeltsin's political ambitions were dashed. It was a humiliating blow that he would never forget or forgive.